Welcome, everybody. This is a reading for Sun, Moon, and Ascendant in the sign of Taurus for January 2019, the month of January. And I'm using my Gemini Astrological Tarot spread. So check that video out if you haven't seen how this spread works. It's pretty cool. Okay, so we begin here with Taurus. This is your Ascendant, and we move like this, right, in the order of the houses and so on. So, interesting. So we've got the Hierophant here as your Ascendant, very powerful card. Let's do a quick overview of what we have. Excuse me. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 13 cards are major arcana. That's quite powerful. So that shows that there's a lot brewing for you this month that is sort of beyond the realm of your immediate kind of mundane life or immediate consciousness even. There's a lot of powerful energies brewing and so on. These aren't necessarily great energies of transformation, but they will offer their own opportunities, as we'll find out through our delineation. We have, let's see, swords, 4 of swords. So 1, 2 swords cards, okay? Then we have 1, 2, 3 pentacles cards. Then we have 1 wands card and 1 cups card, if that's correct. I think that's correct. So we have the most pentacles of the 4 suites. So we have basically major arcanum and pentacles. So it may be a change around being and living in the world, or not a change, but some sort of empowerment therein or something like that. I think it'll become clearer as I sort of go through the reading to myself and hopefully to you, more importantly. Okay, so yeah, this is a really curious situation here with the Hierophant as the beginning and the Ace of Swords as the end. We also have the Sword in Justice, which is a repetition of themes. So we do have some more kind of sword stuff by default or by extension, and we could say the same thing about like the Empress being a very like earthy, vibrant card, you know, kind of carrying some of the same tones as the King and so on. And likewise the Moon for watery stuff and the Strength card for fiery stuff. So we kind of get some extension of those energies. But yeah, this is curious because it's almost like a new hope or a new intuition arising for you from the depths of your being. Something new is being born. And perhaps this is even some kind of spiritual awakening happening for you. You may be finding a teacher, converting to a religion, or discovering a new doctrine or a new path or something. If that is the case, I would highly recommend not converting to an organized religion of any sort, because realistically speaking, and this is just my own bias, okay? Realistically speaking, study the teachings. The teachings are what's important, and living the teachings, not the dogma, not believing in the little details about the founder of the faith or the prophet or whatever it is, you know? So be willing to question the teachings this coming month. Be willing to question what people are offering you and whatnot. That's where I'll start out with this, I think. And let's see, the Hierophant is a sort of interesting juxtaposition with Justice reversed in the 12th house here, which is probably going to be, there's probably a lot going on with this card actually, as I can already sense. But I get the feeling that you may be throwing caution to the wind, or you may be in some manner acting unjustly or acting in a manner based on what you think an injustice has been done to you or something like that. And so maybe you are now, I don't know, thinking that you're going to somehow right that wrong or right that justice. And that might be what needs to happen. I don't know exactly, but you're definitely kind of in between a rock and a hard place here with this Ace of Swords, Justice on one side, and then 4 of Swords reversed on the other side. You know, it's kind of like, do you dare speak your truth? Do you dare go against tradition? You know, do you dare throw caution to the wind. Like what is happening here for you with regard to what you believe and what you think and so on, and what you speak and what you've studied and all this kind of stuff, you know? There's something there that's sort of prohibitive. So the Hierophant is aspected by the Page of Pentacles, which is really antithetical to this card in a way, but the page could be some sort of student, some sort of peer, somebody who is looking to you for help or for hope. Maybe it's your sibling, especially could be a younger sibling too, because this is the third house. We have the Four of Wands aspecting, which is also kind of a card that will sort of emphasize like family and tradition and sort of the happiness and fruits of happiness that come from sort of stability and sort of just, acting from a very almost tribal sphere kind of a thing. So there's kind of a pull back, perhaps. There's an influence on this truth-seeking Hierophant card of like somebody looks up to you, and maybe like your family encourages you in a certain direction, but you feel stuck between a rock and a hard place by this. Maybe you don't want to be looked up. And strength is also aspecting you from the sixth house here. And so on some level, you feel like your strength is being sapped. Perhaps you feel like you're on the verge of some sort of rebirth, some sort of powerful rekindling of nascent energies where you'll reconnect with something you'd lost, some sense of play and wonder and passion and stuff that's sort of just unbridled and kind of just going where it needs to go. And it could be a sexual thing too. It could easily be a sexual thing. And this is sort of being suppressed by the Hierophant surrounded by these two cards and whatnot. This Ace of Swords, again, something new is dawning, some new perception is dawning, but do you have the strength and fortitude to kind of go against tradition? Hierophant is a very traditional card and whatnot. Strength is knocking on the door there. But strength is obviously not being let in because it's reversed. If we go to your fifth house, jump to your fifth house, right? We see that you've got the Empress, a very powerful card in many respects, actually shares certain things in common with the Strength card. In the fifth house, it's certainly the potential for love affairs, for romance, for being more creative and independent sexually and so on. But again, it's reversed, and so we can't help but wonder if this is something that's being suppressed for you this month, that you're struggling with deeply. Perhaps the World card aspecting this fifth house is showing that you want to remain pure, you want to remain perfect, or you want things to be a certain idealistic way, but they are but that is in fact just causing things to be suppressed, more primal energies. The Empress and Strength are both very powerful primal energies. You are worried about upsetting the status quo, the Four of Swords aspecting, right? You are worried about being forsaken if you sort of rediscover this, being perhaps thrown to the road, thrown to the curb, kicked to the curb. Sorry, I keep screwing it up. There's this worry about financial stuff influencing as well. Whereas the Empress is great and good fortune, especially in matters of risk and whatnot, and actually can easily be complemented by the World. So it may be that the World is not really the biggest problem. It may just be these cards. Like I said, these sort of, not doing anything, kind of hiding, and then being afraid of things falling apart and whatnot. And we do have a bit of a juxtaposition of 4, 4, and then we have 5, and then 5. So status quo comfort versus upsetting the apple cart, something that needs to happen a lot of the time, actually. And the apple cart is on the verge of being upset. We've got the 5 of Pentacles as the 12th from the 4 of Wands, and this is the 8th house. So this is a house of kind of it's kind of an energy drain, in this situation. There's a definite mounting fear or mounting feeling or something that things are about to radically change and whatnot. And indeed, maybe they are. You've got, again, a lot of major arcanum here. So a lot of powerful energies that could turn into a big change later on. Probably not this month, but in another month, perhaps, if I draw like a bunch of very potent change cards like the Tower, the Devil, and the Death card or something like that, or the Wheel of Fortune and Judgment and so on. But this is your ninth house too of, connection to God, religion, belief, and so on. There's a sense of perhaps leaving home and that sort of a thing, a sense of it's time for things to change with regard to your relationship to your family and your parents and whatnot. And this is perhaps something that's being sort of interfered with by also the Hierophant, not just this card, but the Hierophant, because the Hierophant is a 5. And so it's coming and saying it's time for you to develop your own spirituality, your own beliefs, or understand wisdom, rather. Forget about beliefs. Beliefs mask the truth, but sort of what do you think you know, and very much questioning it and that sort of a thing. Especially with this Ace of Swords, too. The Ace of Swords is very much... it's like the sword of Prajna, which is my friend used to call the Ace of Swords, like cutting away. Prajna is like wisdom, so it's like the sword of wisdom that hacks away ignorance and darkness. So yeah, I think that's kind of a theme here. In terms of relationship, there's some somberness in relationship. There's some sort of things being, the scales tipping, or things being cut away, perhaps due to inaction or negligence. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of instability there. And it may just be, this is such a rational card in many respects. So it may be an inability to deal with the more irrational emotional realm that's getting you into trouble in relationships this month and whatnot. Or you may be heading towards relationships for sort of reasons of like loneliness and insecurity that are bubbling up and whatnot. There may be something happening too regarding like spirits and dream time that could be confusing. It's very confused, very like muddled relationship stuff and whatnot. And, it's not buffeted by very good cards. It's aspected by reverse justice, probably the least romantic card ever. And Page of Pentacles would show a willingness to learn on some level, but also perhaps some kind of interference from somebody actually as well, maybe making some kind of proposal. And the Four of Wands here, which is I can't really say it's like reversed or not reversed. I guess it's kind of reversed. Yeah, it's reversed pretty much. Sorry, I guess I can't say. Aspecting again, this is like this hope of having a family or having things be really hunky-dory, but it's just not really gonna help the moon situation. If anything, you need to feel what's going on. You need to be more objective, but acknowledging the emotions and the feelings in the matters of relationships and desires and whatnot. That's what I would say about that. So, what else do we got going on here? The fourth is interesting. I've kind of skipped over the fourth. The fourth is the King of Pentacles. So there's either the influence of an older benefactor or father figure on your personal life, or there's just a sense of empowerment for you in your private life. I don't know. That's not really making any sense. Right? I realize as I say it. Or maybe it's a secret desire that you haven't shown anyone, a secret desire to engage in sort of a more sexually liberal kind of space, or a space that is more sensual, sensuous, and hedonistic even. There might be like a secret desire brewing there. This almost looks like a secret love affair or something like that to me. I don't know. I should go back to the second house too, because the second house is your finances, and that's always important to have some insight to. I don't see a lot of great change or things happening with finances, although there is this kind of this Five of Pentacles aspecting. So there may be, in a sense, the sort of like the threat of that happening because of a fear around it and an inaction of it. This could also signify an inheritance that is delayed from somebody who has passed away. Excuse me. So some kind of delayed inheritance. Again, somebody may be trying to like get it for themselves, or it could be a sibling thing too. So keep an eye on that. Sibling trying to get that inheritance, or trying to get you to do something with hidden funds that you have, like in your savings or whatever. That's easily a possibility. Yeah, now strength is in your sixth house, right? I think I already talked about that. There's some sort of your powers being sapped. Yeah, we talked about the moon a bit, talked about the Five of Pentacles a bit, and the like worry and concern it could bring up. We talked about the 12th house and sort of injustice. We didn't talk about what is aspecting it really. Again, the moon, the Three of Cups, showing that it's probably an irrational fear predicated upon insecurities and loss, rather than something more real and abiding. The King of Pentacles aspecting the 12th is interesting. I don't know really how to read that, to be honest. Nothing's really springing forth for me, so I'm kind of going to skip over it. And maybe if you contemplate it for yourself, you'll realize more what this means, but it's just not speaking loudly to me at the moment. If we look at the 10th house here, we see that it's the Three of Cups, a fairly auspicious card for career and actions and whatnot, a celebration, perhaps a promotion, or perhaps a success with friends if you're trying to start a small business venture or something like that. But this looks generally pretty good. Some new opportunities, perhaps from clients or something with this aspect. Justice aspecting is a little more somber, obviously. It's kind of like suggesting that there is still going to be some like strain and work ahead that may take away from this celebratory aspect just a little bit, but I don't get the vibe that it can like ruin it or anything. But coupled with the strength aspect reversed from the sixth, I would say be aware of your, again, your lack of energy and that sort of thing. Also kind of contributing questionably to this. Don't just be aware of like jumping the gun and celebrating like a false victory or something like that. Make sure you've really taken care of the things you need to take care of before you celebrate any kind of victory this month. And and I think that's mostly what this will refer to. The fact that, interestingly enough, this is aspecting the sixth could show that also celebration could also lead to some sort of sapping of power. I'm not really sure exactly how to read that at the moment. This is a very strange spread. It's very there's a lot of friction in it. Basically, it's almost like the spiritual lesson here is that you just need to cut away everything that just is not making sense or fitting together properly. Just cut it away and start again, because your mind is going to be cluttered otherwise. There's just a lot of clutter here, a lot of confusion and doubt and whatnot. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. And, maybe you fancy yourself to be this very powerful individual who can do anything he wants. But the fact is, this is in the fourth house and you're not doing anything with that. You're just like, it's just there. And it may just be a sort of a false pretense or something. I don't know, but it's just not, you're just not really like moving anywhere with this, in my opinion. There's just not a lot of movement here. So that's what I have to say. With the 11th house here, you have like some great hopes and dreams and stuff. You have some like very high, lofty ideals. Perhaps you're starting to feel like a sense of there must be something more, like I talked about earlier. And so you're looking into the possibility of something far more profound and fulfilling in life. But again, there's worry about finances aspecting it. There's kind of inertia aspecting it, or inactivity, or mental weariness, in a sense, bringing it down, skepticism. And then the reversed Empress aspecting it is kind of like a bursting forth of passion that's sort of being kind of subdued, or perhaps there's kind of this sense of like, maybe I wasn't what I thought I was, so maybe I'm supposed to be this. It's kind of an extreme of like, especially if you're a woman here watching this video, maybe this is like a card suggesting that you no longer feel confident as you once did in who you are as a woman, and now you're trying to find out again. Something like that. I don't know. And then, yeah, justice, we've already kind of talked about the 12th house, spending kind of a lot of energy on worrying about injustices, whether dealt to yourself or others. And there's kind of like a save the world notion here too. Like, let's save the world. Maybe doing some more environmental work. I don't know. Or maybe you work for an environmental organization and you're trying desperately to sort of save the world from injustice. But don't be afraid of injustice. You need to face this fear and find out what it really is. Like, why are you afraid of injustice, or why do you feel like an injustice has been dealt to you, and so on. So again, cut everything away, get rid of all the fog, put things in their proper place, and be willing to rethink certain fundamental belief systems you have, and don't jump into joining an organized religion. Just study its doctrines if it appeals to you. You don't need to become the thing. And then you're going to have a bunch of other people just telling you how to be, how to behave. That has nothing to do with the holy books of the religions. So just study the teachings. Don't jump into anything. And that the same goes for marriage too. Don't jump into a marriage. Especially if you're trying to like think you're going to save someone with this moon in the 7th, don't do it. Okay. Just, you got to think clearly, get to the Ace of Swords space. Okay. Well, I hope that helps. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this far and wide. And check out my website for individual offerings and readings and more. And have a wonderful January and a wonderful year. All right. Blessings.